I get those goosebumps every time.
I just have to get the big fella off the bench.
Could this be their last chance now? In it comes, Monster to the front! He scored! Barry Monson scored!
I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too numb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hind to throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me outside? I'm slipping low key and hiding. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments. I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hind.
Good morning, good Christmas Eve morning to everybody. How are ye? We're here to talk about this Luton and Newcastle game. But before we talk about that, it's Christmas. We have to balance both books. And Pete, in honor of your pajamas that you're wearing, I have to sing this one. Stay now. Baby, do we have to play away? Don't think I can take the pain. Do we have to play away? Oh, good morning, Pete. How are you?
Love it. Mate, literally just rolled out of bed. I'm lying, but I'm in it's Christmas, Dad. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna roll out PJs and all. Got my orange juice. It is a morning, as all, and yeah. I wish. Maybe later. To be fair, I have to say, brandy and apple juice is outstanding. So I might have a couple of them later. That's for sure. But look, we're going to be talking about Newcastle United. Of course, this is why we're here. But as you said before we went live, and just a second ago, Daz, it is Christmas Eve, and sometimes you just gotta forget about certain things and just be happy because it's Christmas. Everyone's excited, and yes, look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm buzzing because it's Christmas Eve. However, yeah, what we're going to talk about wasn't too pleasant.
No, and we're missing Chris, but he's here. We finally got out of bed, and he missed the happy bit where he's only going to be coming on for the miserable bit now. But all right, Chris, how are you?
Morning, boys. I'm good. Yeah, must admit.
Did we wake you?
No. So I was awake, and then I fell asleep, and then I woke up late. So yeah, I was awake at 8 o'clock, and then I fell back asleep. But how are you, boys? Are we okay?
I all good, Chris.
The Uzi. I couldn't believe it. I was in the green room. I was like, he's got the Uzi on.
You missed the tune. You missed the song, Chris.
Oh, mate.
Could have done with backup vocals. But also a happy Christmas to those I see in the chat. So to Jimmy Watt, Trippier for Prime Minister, Tom Dixon, Craig Wright, John Mitchelson, David Orr, Geordie Tune for Life, Jason Scott. Yes, everyone that's got up early, anyone that hasn't been in the comments, anyone that's in the chat. Welcome. Right. Let's do this, lads. Yes, the red mist has ascended, has descended even. Let's talk about this game. Let's talk about, first of all, a positive thing with the great reception that the Newcastle fans gave to Tom Lockyer. A great banner they put up, and everyone clapping along on the fourth. I think it was the fourth match for him. So that's positive as well. Stay positive for a while. Right, let's get into the team news. Here it is, and Trips starts, which was probably a bit surprising from what we were saying the last day. Char's back, no J7. Gordon starts. Botman on the bench, Isaac on the bench, Gino on the bench, and Hall sitting on the bench, his usual spot as well. What did you make of the team, lads? Pete, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, a few surprises there. I'm not gonna lie. Shaw coming back in was a surprise. I actually I didn't think. I thought he might be close, but I didn't think he would start. Which tells us, it really wasn't that serious in terms of his injury. The Trippier one was a toss of a coin. I think I said to you boys, I don't think he should have started. I think Tino should have started with the view of maybe resting him for the Forest game. But look, I'm sure we'll talk about Trippier in that situation. But it's, I think, in my mind, the reasons why I wouldn't have played Trippier is probably come to fruition. I'm not holding him responsible, but it certainly hampered the team for sure. So they were the big surprises for me. Everything else is what it was. And I said to you boys when it came on, and I dropped it in the chat, I said, we're finally getting our team back. Which then makes me wonder why we saw what we saw.
Good point. Chris, your thoughts on the team sheet?
Similar to Pete, to be honest, Oz. I mean, I was surprised to see Shaw. I was surprised to see Gordon. I thought of all of them. I thought Gordon was the one who wouldn't make it. So yeah, pleasantly surprised. But I wasn't pleasantly surprised to see Kevin Trippier. And I'll tell you something else as well, just to expand slightly on what Peter said. I think it's incredibly harsh and baffling, if I'm honest, that Tino Livramento wasn't in the starting 11. Because I don't understand why our most, our best performing defender is not on the pitch at the moment, because that's what he is. He's been our best performing defender. I think he would have provided a different outlet. We'll get into it. But I was a bit disappointed because I also wonder what message it kind of says to the squad. What does that say? Keeping Kevin Trippier in there despite all these individual errors and dropping your best defender. What does that say to the rest of the team? So that's what I was thinking. Although on a positive note, to end it on a positive note, I was really pleased with the bench, because the bench is looking a bit more like a first team bench now. So that was nice to see, and obviously it was nice to see Alexander Isak on there as well.
Cool. No, good points. I think something we'll probably circle around to about selections, favorites, even substitutions, taking off easier substitutions to make than others maybe, and late in the day as well, some of them. Right, but let's go into it. I'll go through the first half first, and we'll stop at the goal. Early pressure and chances for Luton. They were up for the game. You could see, and I know, Pete, you've said it before, you can tell within the first couple of minutes what Newcastle's turning up, and I think we could all see that today. But yeah, they were early out of the blocks. Wilson did have a half chance in 13 minutes. Then in 19 minutes, Wilson header was saved. Newcastle did pick it up a bit for about a 10-minute spell, but then Luton got a corner. Anders Townsend, former Newcastle player, of course, under Rafa, got a goal. What did you make of the defending for that goal and the lead up to that goal, lads? Chris, I'll go to you first on that one.
I think it would have been nice if someone was marking him. Really, that would have been quite nice, wouldn't it? Just left at the back post. So that was incredibly disappointing. I know it was a flick on. There was a flick on, and then obviously Andros Townsend benefited at the back post. But yeah, I thought the marking was really, really poor. I actually think there was somebody next to Andros Townsend. I can't think who it was. Another Luton player who could have also had a stab at trying to put it in the back of the net as well. So yeah, shambolic defending, which is disappointing, because that puts Luton 1-0 up and firmly puts them in the driving seat. And I don't know about you boys, but I always felt that the first goal yesterday was going to be key. It was going to be, a big moment. And then when Luton went 1-0 up, it got the crowd up. You could see that we were kind of doubting ourselves. And just to touch back on the header, Daz, which I think is the one you're referring to, the Callum Wilson header. I know he gets it on target, but he's got to score that. He's got to score that. He's done everything right, and yes, it's a shot on target. But as a striker, 3 yards out, he's got to score. He hits it straight at the goalie, and it's kind of sums us up at the moment, really, because if we'd have gone 1-0 up there, I'm not sure you would have saw that Andros Townsend goal, but it's all ifs, buts, and maybes, isn't it? But yeah, very, very disappointing defending for the Townsend goal. Wide open, couldn't miss, and he celebrated joyfully.
You can't blame him for that one. And of course, yeah, he did bring out Tom Lochner's jersey as well. It's good mark of respect, and yeah, you have to respect that. Pete, your thoughts on that Luton goal?
Yeah, just poor all round, if I'm honest with you. Chris has talked mostly about it. The flick on, I think it was Barkley gets the flick on. A bit of a mismatch, him and Bruno going for the board. Bruno's not the best in the air anyway, and Barkley's physically bigger and stronger than him, so it was a bit of a mismatch in my opinion. But and then I think it might be Miley who's not then tracking Andros Townsend, who just ghosts in at the back. It's just poor all round, very naive defending, and yeah. You can't not say that Luton didn't deserve to go ahead. Luton did everything that we expected Newcastle United to do. Start with intensity, start fast, start strong, dominate possession. They had like 60-something% possession, like a significant way into the game. And I'm looking at them thinking, like, this is the flip of what I expected here. Like, this should be Newcastle United holding on, sitting back in, sitting deep. We should be controlling possession. It just wasn't the case. But you're right, Chris. I had it in my head. I watched it back a few times. Callum Wilson has to score that. Has to score. It's not a difficult chance. It really isn't. And when you're away from home and we're playing the way we are, we don't get many chances. You've got to put it away. You have to. And you're right, it changes the game because it gives Luton confidence. It puts more pressure on us. We get that goal, we probably go on and win because we needed that as almost like a jump start for our performance. We get that goal, it gives everybody a lift and it allows us to play. You go back in some of the games, Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal. You think we get back in those games if we don't get the first goal? We need the first goal at this moment in time to be able to give us a platform to build. And we shot ourselves in the foot. And as you said, Dash, I say it most weeks now, particularly when Newcastle don't win, is that I can always tell. I watch 10 minutes of the game and it gives me a huge indication of what type of performance we're going to get. And honestly, watching that wave after wave of Luton attack, I just had a feeling I knew what was coming. I was going to be confident in my team. I think I had this down for a 3-1 win on away days. I'm always going to be confident in our team. But I'm not going to be looking through those tinted glasses. If I see a poor performance, I'll call it out. And that wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. You can't sugarcoat it. You just can't.
No, there is no way to sugarcoat that one. Then you'd think that was the wake-up call, but no. 32 minutes in, Barkley hit the crossbar. Newcastle were lucky not to be too behind at that stage. Then 34 minutes, 2 minutes after that, Dubravka makes another save. Then 37 minutes, Lascelles goes down injured, so Eddie decides that's it. He's going to make a change. He makes a double change with Lascelles and Miley coming off, and Botman and Isak coming on. Now we did need to change something for sure at that stage, but was Miley the one that should have gone off? Was that an easier substitution than someone else, for example? But then fast forward another bit, 42 minutes. Miggy had a shot, skied it over the bar. That's the first half. Maybe I'll just go straight into the second half unless there's something I want to say about that first half. You would think that we'd be coming out in the second half gunning for this now, but no. 48 minutes, Luton hit the crossbar again. So yeah, 51 minutes. Bruno had a shot that went wide, went for corner. 60 minutes in, Isak did have the ball in the net, but VAR correctly ruled it offside. It was just very marginal, but it was offside. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Bruno near post flick shot went for a corner on the 69th minute, 80th minute. Decides to take. Yeah,
very quickly on that. I'm sorry, Bruno's got to square that. He's got to square that. That shot that you're talking about, where he kind of pokes it towards goal at a tight angle. He squares that across goal.
Yeah.
Wilson's got a tap in, and you can see Wilson on the replay, and he's going, "What are you doing? Like, why are you not giving me the ball there?" He's trying to poke it towards goal in an impossible angle, and yeah, we get a corner off the back of it. But all he needs to do is just square it across goal. The goalkeeper's already set. He's not getting there. Wilson's in front of his defender, which is all you can ask of a striker. He's got to tap it. Just give him the ball. I watched that back, and I was just like, How have you not squared that ball? Why have you not put that across goal? I don't get it. I don't know if you boys saw similar.
Yeah, like I didn't actually, because I was watching on stream. I didn't get to see it back the chance again. But yeah, it was going to be an impossible angle. If that went in, it would be kind of like that goes in 1 in 50. That kind of a shot. But yeah, okay. We'll move on. Yeah. So Miggy on 80 minutes, he takes Miggy off, who had a poor game, and for me, he brings Tino on, our best performer, Chris, as you alluded to in recent times. Newcastle tried to push for an equaliser. Byrne come off, Hall come on the 84th minute. I'm not going to really do much then. That was it, really. 1-0 Luton. Christmas potentially ruined, but yeah. What did you make of it, lads? Chris, we go to you.
I just love that line. Christmas potentially ruined. Yeah, do you know what? It was sobering to watch, because I feel like we got out Newcastle. Luton were everything that we were. That Luton played exactly how I expected us to play and how we have been playing under Eddie Howe. One thing I will say is, I thought Luton were really good value for the win, and I thought they thoroughly deserved it, and they really surprised me. Like I didn't think they'd be that good technically, but they've got some really good technical players, and do you know what? If they carry on fighting like that, I think the likes of Everton are going to be looking over their shoulders, because Luton really impressed me. I thought a couple of standout performances, particularly Barkley. Barkley did. I remember Dave on the away days was saying that Barkley looks like the Barkley of Everton when he was there, and he did. I thought Barkley had a really, really good game, but from a Newcastle perspective, just very, very disappointing. And not to create a furore, but this is the first time. And I said this to my mates in my WhatsApp group. This is the first time that I'm questioning Howe and some of his decisions. We've always said, haven't we, lads, that everybody's open for criticism, and I think Eddie Howe has to take some of the blame there, because I'm not convinced on the starting lineup. I'm not convinced how the team was set up. I found it very interesting, Daz, that when we made the Lascelles substitution, that we took Miley off and changed shape. I think that very interesting, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we've not seen Eddie Howe do that in the first 30 minutes since he's been Newcastle manager. Maybe once, maybe something in the back of my mind's telling me that's wrong, but he doesn't do it a lot, put it that way. So for the Luton manager Rob Edwards to really do a number on Eddie Howe is surprising. Pete mentioned, at the start, that in the first 10 minutes you kind of know what Newcastle you're going to get, and that's the disappointing thing, because I knew myself that we weren't at it, and you know what, people, none more so than myself, have been blaming fatigue and saying that the lads are tired and they need a rest, and there was an opportunity to give some players a rest today. There was an opportunity to give some players a rest yesterday. And to take some players out of the firing line. And in the main, I'm talking about Kieran Trippier, and he didn't do that. And for me, that is a big question mark. I don't understand why he's dropped Tino Livramento when arguably, he's been not just our best defender, as I said earlier, as I think you said, one of our best players, full stop.
Yeah.
And he's not on that pitch. Even Lewis Hall coming on, like, you know, he didn't look right either. And I don't know. I've just got all these questions in my head now, and I'm wondering whether me mates did all say this to me, whether I've been looking at Eddie Howe and the regime with, you know, tinted glasses on. And I'm not going to sit here now and say I want Eddie Howe out, because that's obviously not the case. But it's the first time that I've kind of took a step back and gone, okay, like, you know, this isn't great. This isn't ideal. We're still fortunate to be where we are in the league, in my opinion. But I tell you what, you know, we're not even halfway through the season, but I know some people in the chat are saying there, you know, top 8, bottom half finish. I don't know what I'd like to say about where we'll finish, but I think this January window is coming at exactly the right time. And I tell you what, I know he said in his press conference that nothing's lined up yet and that there'll be no early deals. I think we need some early deals, because we need some fresh players in that squad, a new dynamic, and some players need to sit out. They really, really do, because whether it's all the games, whether it's the fact they're not fully fit, I don't know, but there was something not quite right yesterday. And everything that Eddie Howe builds this Newcastle team around, such as, you know, the press and the intensity, you know, the dynamism, we had none of it. And we just looked, at times we were getting played off the park by Luton. And that's quite a sobering thought. And that's no offense to Luton, but, you know, we've got some very, very good players in our team. And yesterday, you know, when you were looking at our players against their players, you were thinking this is like men versus boys at times. And it's really not good enough, and it's not acceptable. So I must admit, I'm not overly looking forward to the Nottingham Forest game on Boxing Day. Yes, we're at home. And yes, we've got fantastic home form. I think we're second in the home form league. But we really need to sort that away form out, because, yeah, all right, between now and the end of the season, we can win 90% of our home games. Brilliant. But if we carry on the way we are with our away form, we are, like everyone in the chat saying, we are going to finish mid-table.
Yeah. No, you're right. Some very good points there, Chris. Pete, let's get your thoughts on the overall result.
It's a few things that I've kind of started to think about that came to a head for me in that Luton game. One, we don't like playing on small pitches in tight grounds. Bournemouth being another example of that. Crystal Palace being another example of that. Going back previous seasons. We can't play in those tight pitches, and our best players can't play at those grounds. And the reason being is because those players like time and space on the ball that you just don't get at those places. So, for example, Kieran Trippier, is the part of the reason is that I don't think he was the best performing right back at this moment in time to be starting for Newcastle United. But secondly, Kieran Trippier needs time on the ball to be able to play in those spaces. And we saw against Bournemouth that he doesn't get those time at that time. And so half of his game gets completely cancelled out. And Tino would have been a better suit. It arguably goes for the same for someone like Miguel Almiron that needs a lot of space to run into, but he doesn't get that space and opportunity to run into because there's no space to exploit. And that's why you don't get your good performances from him. Bruno Guimaraes was not good yesterday. Why? Is because he gets no time to take 2-3 touches on the ball to control possession. You don't get it at grounds like that. And I'm starting to see these players that like time on the ball, like they get at St. James's Park, like they get at the bigger grounds, that they can't handle it. They can't handle it. They haven't got another way of playing or another way of opening up their game. And we really struggled off the back of that, because if we all go into Luton, you need Bruno firing, you need Trippier firing, you need Miguel Almiron stretching the play, making runs in and behind you. You just don't get it. And it's the same arguably for Anthony Gordon, who needs time and space to manipulate, and you don't get that opportunity. And that's really what let us down in that game. And for the first time, this is our worst run of fixtures in terms of losses I think, since Eddie Howe came into the team. And I'm talking like, forget the first month of like November into December when he first took over the team, because effectively it wasn't his team at that point. He was just kind of riding that wave. But I would say from like sort of January of that sort of 2021 onwards, this has probably been his worst run of fixtures, where we've played poor and we've lost a lot of games. And I think this is the first time where you could genuinely scrutinize him. No, like I said, nobody here wants him out. He's not going anywhere. It's as simple as that. He's our manager for a long period moving forward. But I've had people saying to me, "Oh, if he loses the derby, he's gone, this, that, and the other." No, it's not going to happen. And neither should we want that to happen. We're going through a bad moment. And this is the other side of having Eddie Howe as our manager. And this is what people don't understand, is that, you know, with some managers, high-profile managers, they're already well established. They've been through these moments before. Eddie Howe hasn't. This is the highest Eddie Howe has been at in terms of his stature of manager in this club, at a club like Newcastle United, and he's learning too. But we just need him to start moving forward, making big decisions that big managers make. This is going to be his test now moving forward. Because, Chris, you're absolutely right. There are certain players that shouldn't be playing. There are certain players that are far too comfortable right now. And I'm going to say it. Players like Callum Wilson, Alexander Isak, far too comfortable. They know they're going to play all the time. And they don't have to play well, but know they're going to be in the team at some point. Miguel Almiron more so, because there's no other right winger at the club. He can play bad and know he's going to play on Tuesday against Nottingham Forest. Players like Bruno Guimaraes can drift through games, but he knows he's got no one else in that midfield that plays like him. So he's going to play every week. People like Fabian Schär, he knows he's going to play. He knows he's better than the Lascelles. He knows that when Botman's fit, he's going to be playing alongside Botman. Kieran Trippier yesterday should not have played that game. But the fact that he played, he now knows he's going to play regardless. He needed a kick up his backside. His performances haven't deserved him starting against Luton. Tino Livramento is our best performing fullback right now. He should have been in the team. Yeah. In actual fact, I hope that's not going to be detrimental to him, because he deserved that start. That would have made him feel 10 foot tall, knowing that his performances have got him a start over Kieran Trippier. And
Trippier wouldn't have complained either, Peter. No. He couldn't say anything.
He couldn't have complained. A professional like Kieran Trippier, and he's a superb professional, I would have hoped, gone, I need to step it up. I need to play better in order to get my place back in the team. It was the wrong game for him. And it goes back to the point, the goalkeeper is not good enough. Wasn't that busy, but still, he doesn't fill that defence with confidence. He doesn't. And it's starting to show big time. So there's all these sort of factors that are coming in that are making me think, you know, things need to change. And you talked about it, Chris. You talked about the transfer window. Like, we need, for me, at least 3 players coming in. This is it now. Time for sentiment is over. It's done. Finished. If Eddie Howe wants to be Newcastle United manager long term, I'm not talking about short period, I'm talking for the next 3-4 years, he has to start making big decisions that big managers have to make. The likes of Matt Ritchie, the likes of Paul Dummett, the likes of Martin Dubravka, get them gone. Gillespie, get them gone. Get these players out the club. Make big decisions on the likes of Jacob Murphy, the likes of Miguel Almiron. I'm not saying they all go, but I think decisions need to be made on some of these players to go, you know what? Do we keep with a Miguel Almiron that can be frustrating at times, but then do well in other moments? Can be good because he runs all day for you and stretches the play, but in the times that you need him, doesn't put the ball in the net because he's not composed enough. Do we continue with that? Or do we go and get the guy that can do it for us every single week? Can we go and get the guy that can get us double figures guaranteed every season? Because for as good as these players are, and they're putting a shift for us this season, and I'll throw Anthony Gordon into this as well, he has been probably one of our best performers, or close to our best performers this season. I think Shaw's probably pushing him quite close, in my opinion. But I think he's been one of our best performers. But even Anthony Gordon cannot guarantee you double figures every single season as a winger. Now, we cannot put that pressure on strikers to get us those double figures every year. We need the wingers to do exactly the same. We got that last season with Miguel Almiron. But there's no way that Miguel Almiron playing like this is going to get double figures for us this season. Anthony Gordon may still. But what we need now to be that team, we need to go out and get these ready-made players that we know that we can trust, putting them in the team, that chances that they get, they'll put them away, that they'll make the right decisions and get assists off the top of that. Guaranteed quality. And this is what we need. We need those players coming in. And Miguel Almiron especially. We need a midfielder that's going to get us goals on a regular basis. I'm sorry, I saw a couple of shots from Bruno Guimaraes yesterday. The guy can't shoot. He can't shoot. And I don't know what is going on there, but the way he shoots in front of goal is the strangest technique I've seen.
Plays it each time.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't make sense. And again, we need more. It's not just on Bruno. We need more goals from Longstaff. We need more goals from Bruno. We need more goals from the likes of Joe Linton. Miley came up with a big goal, but I'm not putting any pressure on him to be bagging his goals every week. The lad's 17 years old. I'm not putting that pressure on him at all. But the rest of them should be contributing. We need goals from other areas. And the last thing, we need Sven Botman starting every week. We need him. He's our best centre-back. I'm sorry. He changes the way we play. He's so comfortable on the board. He allows us to control possession. Let's get back to basics now. Our best defensive setup, because we need it. We need it because we don't have the protection in goal like we did with Nick Pope. So we need our better defense in there. And at the moment, my better defense is Tino Livramento right back, Shaw and Botman, and then Dan Burn. That's the defensive line that I go with at Nottingham Forest. It has to be the case. We need to stop playing players that are playing well, playing the better football, and we have to stop picking players because they're just good people. We've got to move on from that, because if we keep doing that, we're going to end up 8th, 9th in the table, languishing, because we're just going to be drifting through games. We've lost double the amount of games this season that we lost the whole of last season. That tells its own story.
Well, maybe I'll try and pick apart some of that, Pete, and also just throw in a few comments as well. Like I've said it before, I think this season is a stepping stone season for us. I think we're going nowhere this season. Really, we might put up a challenge again, but Champions League spots look less likely as the days continue. But focusing on Eddie Howe, I suppose, where do we go now? Where do we go next? Okay, we have the Forest game coming up, but Eddie has to learn to be ruthless, and he also needs a kind of a plan B approach. When we play at home, and when we're at the top of our game, no one can beat us because we're absolutely unreal. But we need another option when we're not at the races, and when we're not at home. And he needs another way of playing. And added to that, he needs players in January. And as you said, Chris, not wait until the end of January and who's sick and injured by then. We need them to hit the ground running. We need, and maybe they are. Eddie plays the mind games on that front. Maybe we are going to bring players in straight away early in the window, but I don't see what's the point in waiting towards the end of the window to make changes. But not changes just that will they wouldn't do this anyway. But not just for the short term. It's long term. I'd be bringing in changes now with the mind of getting them into the Eddie Howe way of playing. And yes, I want to still stick with Eddie Howe, like all the lads here. But get them ready for next season and an assault on the Premier League next season. But with a bigger squad and getting rid of who, the likes of Richie Dummett, Gillespie, and so on and so forth, to And yeah, being ruthless and as you're saying, Pete, as well, removing it's playing the ones your go-to players. Use the squad. You use Alex Murphy sitting on the bench there for I don't know how long. He only got 5 minutes in all these different games, and they're coming thick and fast. And there's other players as well. Hall, how are you gonna to get the best out of him if you're not giving him a bit of time to play? It's just. Yeah, it does altogether. But we just need a bit of a wake up call. I think Eddie's the man to do it, but things need to change. So hit that ground running into January and see where we go at the end of the season. But I'm not holding much hope. It's going to take it game by game. That's it for me.
No, I think you made some good points. We have players that we could have thrown in. A few people have said in the chat, and it's a fair point about playing injured players, but if they're injured, why are we playing them? Look what we did. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think it necessarily helped, but we gave Isaac a week's rest. We didn't play him against Fulham. We didn't play him against Chelsea to make sure that he was back ready for this game. Eddie Howe said it was 50-50 whether he was going to play on it. He was always going to play in this game. They've just rested him to rest up his groin, but he doesn't look any better off the back of it. But if Gordon's injured, for example, there's a problem with his hamstring. Let him rest it. Should have given him the week off. Let him rest it. Put someone else in. Needs must. But you can't keep playing injured players. You can't keep doing it at some point. And you used Alex Murphy as an example, Daz. And we're not saying he should be starting every week and he's that player right now. He's not. But I watched him in pre-season. He looked good. That guy, whenever he's come on the pitch and had the first 10 minutes, someone like Alex Murphy, he's never let us down. Lewis Miley never let us down when they've been given opportunity. Why not give someone like that an opportunity to play? Or you switch the team out. Look, we have had injuries, we'll get that, but I'm sorry, I'm not using fatigue and injuries as an excuse for that performance yesterday. I'm not going to sit on that hill and use that as an excuse, because it wasn't. That performance is not good enough. It just isn't good enough. If you're a team that want to fight at the top of the table, you cannot have that sort of performance and think that it's acceptable. And it's not. But the funny thing about it is that we'll probably wipe the floor with Nottingham Forest at Boxing Day. And you'll get the intensity. You'll get the work rate. You'll get everything that we wanted today. And then you need to ask yourself the question, why? Why is that happening?
Yeah.
Why is it that we can go to Forest and wipe the floor with them? Why is it that we can go to Fulham at St. James's Park and beat them 3-0? Comfortable victory. Why is it that we can beat the likes of Man United and Chelsea and Arsenal with even more injuries, should I add, at that point in time, when we beat Arsenal and we beat Chelsea and we had lesser players available? Why is it that we can do it then, but we can't do it when we go away to teams like Luton? For me, that's the question that I'm asking at the moment, because I fully expect us to go and beat Nottingham Forest at St. James's Park. I genuinely do. And that's the bigger question. And then it goes back to my point where we talked about have we got the right personnel to set up away from home? And I don't think we do.
Yeah. This is where the number 6 comes in. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. And I don't know about you boys. Look, honestly, boys, for what you're seeing right now, how many players do you genuinely think we need to get in? Not how many you think will get in. How many do you genuinely think that we need to get in to kind of like re-energize our season?
Well, let's step through that. So let's take that question, because that's a good question. Let's go through each of those positions and say who we have there now, and say, do we need a replacement? Goalkeeper, yes, we need a replacement. That's one. Right back, we've Tino, and we've Trips, as obviously if Trips comes back to form, some kind of form. Centre back, we have Shar and Botman. Botman is number one. Shar, look, are we talking January or long term? What's the question there?
Yeah,
I think January, isn't it? I suppose.
I think I don't think we replace Shar in January. I think
I don't.
It's a bridge too far. We need a not a replacement, but we need a long-term successor there. So that we're still on one for January. Left back, we've Dan Byrne and we've Hall and we have
Are we still needing? Are we still needing? Sorry to interrupt, Dad. Are we still needing, in your opinion, a left back? Do you think we still need to buy a left back?
Is Lewis Hall the answer? That's the thing. Yeah, I don't know. Eddie doesn't trust him, and he won't. He's not giving Alex Murphy a shot there. So, what is the game plan?
I think it's really
Byrne got an extension to his contract.
And just to add that both Shaw and Lascelles' contract run out at the end of the season.
Yeah,
he's got two centre backs there that could be leaving for free potentially. I think one of them will definitely. I think one of them's definitely going in the summer, but there's a potential there that both could go.
From Eddie's press conference, he seemed pretty adamant that he saw Jamal Lascelles' long-term future at the club, which I found surprising. So that, to me, that either indicates that Lascelles and Shah will get a new contract, or maybe just Lascelles, which would be an odd decision for me, unless, of course, Shah's, kind of hinted the fact that he won't sign a new deal, and maybe Shah's decided that he will move on because he knows that the club are probably going to be looking at a new right-sided centre back.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that as well, Chris, and I just thought, he can hardly come out and say, "No, we're getting rid of Lascelles in the summer." We need him. He has to kind of play a bit of poker with everything as well. And he probably doesn't even know himself at this stage where how the cards are falling. In one sense, he's looking long term in the sense of bringing in Tino, bringing in Hall maybe, but in the other sense, it's very short term thinking, just the game that's in front of him, not thinking about how I'm going to play the same players every game. He's not thinking 2 steps down the line in that sense. So I don't know. It's a bit of a mess, really. What, are we still on one? Are we going to say another left back? I can't see us bringing another left back for January.
In terms of January, I think we're still on one. I think it's the goalie.
Hey, Jackson.
Hi.
Hi.
Live now on YouTube. Say hi, everyone.
I knew he'd be back, Pete. He'd be back for more.
So he's going to go and play some Mario. You did say he was going to come back, didn't you? You said he was going to come back.
He'd be too interested in what's happening. What's going on here? This is something different. Yeah, they're all the same.
He brings me on to another question, because my little boy likes to score goals. Do we need a striker?
Oh, yes. Million percent.
Yes.
And what's really interesting, Jimmy Watts just put it in the chat. He's put Sesko or Vlahovic. I'd saved the snap for a potential transfer show, maybe over Christmas if we've got time to sneak one in. But Benjamin Sesko is interested in moving on.
That Graham Bailey had something about that.
Yeah, that was it from Graham Bailey, because he's playing second fiddle to Openda at the moment. He's not playing a lot of minutes. Is it the time to strike? 20 years old, goal scorer. Is it the time to strike to get someone like him in? I think this is really, really interesting. Really interesting, because I think we need to add goals to this team.
Yeah, we do.
We need to add goals to this team. I'm going off track here, but I'll give you my opinion. For me, honestly, I think our key positions right now is clearly goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Right wing.
Yeah.
For Miggy.
And I do actually think we need a striker. I
Yeah.
really do. I think there are key positions right now that we need to strengthen. But I would say even more so than the midfield, because I think we just lack such attacking intent away from home. We don't have killers on the pitch that will punish teams, particularly away from home. You don't get many chances away from home. Like we create loads of chances at home, loads of chances. So we're going to score at some point. But away from home, we don't create nowhere near the amount of chances. And when we do, we need someone that we know that can guarantee to put the ball in the net. At the moment, we don't have that guarantee. A fit and fully fit and firing Alexander Isak, definitely. Callum Wilson goes in patches. But I just think some of the other players, they don't guarantee goals, and we need that. And we might have to pay a premium for whoever we bring in, unless we can get them on a good secured loan. But for me, we need to add attacking intent to this team. How many times, boys, have we looked at how many times, Dazzy, you put that squad up and we've gone, oh, okay, 1 or 2 players in there, but where's the attackers? Who's going to come off the bench and change the game? We need that attacking area of the bench stacked quality, so we know that late on in the game, like in that situation, I'm not being funny. If we'd have had a right winger and a striker, like Callum Wilson would have been hauled off. Miggy would have been hauled off, and we'd have had a new emphasis going forward, and maybe could have unlocked the game a little bit. But we're just relying on the same players, and if they don't do it, we don't score. And
William Smith agrees with you, Pete.
Yeah. I started off a couple of weeks ago on our transfer show saying a goalie and a striker. I'm agreeing on the right winger as well. Something different to me to change it up, or that striker that can play on the wing as well. But then the question about when we're playing away, and we need someone more defensively minded, someone that's going to sit there and soak up the pressure and take the pressure off our backline. Could you see a number 6 thrown in the mix there as well? As I don't think we can get all those players. We're not going to have money for maybe someone loan, but we just throw a number 6 in there as well to that list to make it 4.
This is the to be honest, Daz, I think I actually said this when we were last talking about it on the show. For me, I think it's a goalie, a number 6, a right winger, and a striker. Now you could sacrifice one of those positions if you buy a player who can play as a striker or a right winger. And out of those 2, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Sesko is he's more a winger come striker, isn't he, or a striker come winger, whereas Vlahovic is straight through the middle. But if you were to sign like a Sesko who could either play through the middle or possibly on the wing, that would then free you up to then go and get your number 6 and get your goalkeeper. And do you know what, boys? Do you know what? And this is the key thing for me. These positions we're talking about, it's the spine of the team. It's the spine of the team. And you need a strong spine in your team. And we said, didn't we, when we brought in Pope, when we brought in Botman, when we brought in Bruno, when we brought in Isak, we really improved the spine of the team. But at the moment, that's where the gaps are. And for me, that is a little bit worrying, because that's why teams are having so much joy. I mean, Pete, you've said that you've banged this drum God knows how long. There was a couple of moments yesterday that I saw where you mentioned, the fact that the game kind of bypasses Bruno. If you've got a high, intense midfielder, all he's got to do is quick movements and he's past Bruno. And Bruno, bless him, Bruno's trying. He's trying to get back, but he's not got the pace. He's not got the pace. He's so easy to get past. Once you've tricked him, if you've got legs and you not literal legs, but if you've got a bit of pace about you, you're getting past Bruno. No problem at all. No problem.
He's not fast. Bruno's not fast. He'll cover ground well because he's got a good engine. Like, his engine's insane. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Go back to that talk. How many times did Son, Kulusevski in the little hole, Basuma, how many times did they just ghost past him on counter-attack after wave after wave? 1-2 passes, bang, bang, gone. And it does it. It looks bad on him because they're racing away, and it looks like he's getting slower and slower. It's like he's running through. I keep saying it's like he's running through treacle. Like he just looks slower and slower. But his game is about high intense, high and press. So you got the two number 8s that press the other two midfielders, and Bruno presses the highest point. Whoever's their defensive midfielder, he pushes and presses those. That's part of the attacking press. But if they beat that press of Bruno within 2 passes, they're in and behind the whole midfield. And we can't have that. And that's going back to the point of, are we set up right for away games? And we're not, because you cannot have Bruno to do that high intense press if he then can't get back in. And that's where we need to change tact. And you say, you know what? Let's get a number 6 who's designed to be a defensive midfielder and just plonk him, place him in the middle to pop off and block everything. And let the number 8s do the pressing. And you change tact, and you have to. You have to do something different because they get in and behind far too easily. It happens far too often. So
that's a change of mindset from Eddie Howe. We've never seen him do that with Newcastle. So is he willing to do that? And if he's not, it could eventually be his downfall. Because we can't continue with this away form, and even into next season as well with this dreadful away form. We need to change tact when we're away from home. The tactic he plays today with the intensity has got us so far, but we need to be able to mix it up a bit as well. So let's see how that unfolds into January. Okay. Rather than look at the table, we're being really fluid here and changing our own tactics as things happen, because there's things happening in the background that will alter. Right? No, we're not doing that. We're moving on.
I'll type you really quickly. Sorry.
So when we look at the table, let's look at the table. And see where we are. Let me go to that. This is the table as it looks after yesterday's games. You should be able to see that. Yeah. Okay, let's make it a bit bigger. We are in 7th spot. Crucially, we're still ahead of Man United, who themselves are having a desperate season. But I'm not happy with just sitting ahead of Man United here. I want more, and I know you do as well. Look at even West Ham have passed us out now. Even West Ham, Ten Hag, Dan Lawless is smiling away to himself, I'm sure. But yeah, fair play to them. They got a good result against Man United there yesterday as well, I think. Lads, we're at this stage now. We're coming nearly at halfway stage, and after this game is for us, we're on halfway stage. Where do you see us finishing up?
I'll stick to what I said before. I still maintain we'll have a strong second half of the season, and I believe we will. So I do think we'll be fighting. We'll be fighting for Champions League, but at this moment in time, you're looking at that table, it just looks too far away.
Yeah,
the amount of points. Looking at who are we gonna? Let's face it, Man City are not going to stay in 5th for long. They're not.
No,
they've got Kevin De Bruyne back. He's going to be a huge improvement to the team. I just think that Villa really were the ones that we needed to catch in that top 4 race, and I think with them drawing, I think that was a perfect opportunity to claw some points back.
Yeah, and
not winning yesterday is a big blow, particularly with what's coming in January and the fact that we have to go to Villa Park. I'm going to say at this moment in time, and we can revise it, I think, 4th, 5th should be the aim, anywhere around there. 4th, 5th should be the aim.
Yeah. So we're looking to overtake Villa and Spurs at some, or one of the two at some, and obviously West Ham, to try and get into that 4th, 5th kind of spot is our target. So we're hoping for that their form drifts off at some stage, and ours picks up with what we can bring in the transfer window as well, and a bit of rest as well. I know in January we don't have as many games. We have the FA Cup game, we have Liverpool, we have Man City, but there's time for rest as well in there to kind of and training and get back to basics, I guess. But Chris, any thoughts on where as it's looking now, where do you think we'll finish?
I think we're very fortunate to be 7th, and that just shows that a lot of teams are dropping points in and around us. I still think top 4 is possibility. Obviously, if we have 3 points to the good, we'd be sitting on 32 points, which would mean we were 4 points off top 4. But I am still telling myself we're still 1 game away from being at the halfway point. So there's still a lot of points to play for. It just means that we need to go on a really good run. And I think we're capable of it, but this January window is key for me. For me, Daz, the way I'm feeling right now, I think if you were to ask me where I think we finish, I think it'll probably be 5th or 6th. That's where I'm feeling. I still think we'll finish top 6 because I don't think there's teams who will put enough run of games together and beat us to that. You look at Man United, you look at Brighton. I think they're all over the place as well. Chelsea the same. Bournemouth, they'll obviously drop off, and then as you get further down, we won't have any competition from any of those teams. So yeah, I'd say 5th or 6th, but the aim will be obviously top 4. Are we capable of it? Yeah, but we're going to have to really pull our socks up.
Yeah, I agree. Stop sharing that. Okay, we go to some questions, lads. And again, anyone that's joined since the start, Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope you're all well. I hope you enjoy the Christmas period and with family and friends. And yeah, we still had to come on and talk about this. We couldn't let it go. We need to talk about this one. But yeah, who's got some questions?
I'll throw this one up, and this one surprised me that everybody's still speaking about it. Tom Dixon asks, was the Isak goal offside? What do you think? For me, this is very simple. Looked offside, was offside, and I don't know why people are trying to blame that for
it was marginal, but
it was marginal.
No, it was, if VAR wasn't involved, then yeah, you'd be pleading your case, but no, like the line is the line. It was offside.
Pete, same.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
We've got no qualms on that. No qualms on
that. Craig Wright asked some really good questions. He said, "Is it Howe playing his favourites?" To me, boys, it certainly feels like it. Or maybe not necessarily favourites, but the players that he trusts the most. And I kind of think his judgment's a little bit clouded. But what do you think?
I agree that he's playing those that he trusts the most, but those that he trusts the most aren't on form, and you can't just keep playing the same players game on game just because they've done it in the past as well. There's other players you have to throw in into the mix as well. Again, taking Miggy off on 18 minutes, he should have been off the pitch well before that. I know we made 2 substitutes right before half time, but I would have taken him off a lot earlier than that. Bringing on Hall on the 84th minute. Again, you could have pushed him up further a bit as well. You get more out of him in an attacking sense than bringing him on. It's a nothing substitute in that position at that stage. Yeah, he has his favourites, and that needs to change too. I even saw Matt Ritchie lying on the side. I was like, if you bring out Matt Ritchie, I'm going to blow. I'm going to blow.
Don't you dare.
I would hate it. I would hate it.
Love it. Boys, I'm going to shoot. Because I'm going to go enjoy.
Stay now.
I might have to change this one. I'm going to join Mr. Dior on his channel to do a quick preview. I'll drop you guys the links if you want to come and join. If you're free, come join and back me up. But yeah, boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. You guys, JC's asked where I got this. Yeah, Prime on is special, mate. Prime on is special. If you're looking, if they're still there, because they changed their clothes very, very quickly. But look, everyone, let's just move on. Think about Forest. Let's get 3 points on the board. Try and stay as positive as we can. We are allowed to critique, and I'm really glad that we've been able to do that today. And everyone in the chat has been able to do that, because as a right of a Newcastle fan, we are able to do that. We have a right to be able to critique, but know that everyone will get behind the boys for the match, Boxing Day. Everyone, have a fantastic Christmas. Enjoy with your loved ones. Boys, if I don't see you on Mr. Dior, I'll speak to you in the chat, and Merry Christmas to you guys as well.
Merry Christmas, Pete.
Merry
Hope Santa comes.
Yeah.
Take care.
You better.
If he doesn't come now, he better come in January.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'll say to Santa, don't you dare.
Don't you dare. Don't move in Christmas, Santa. Come on.
Yeah. Love it. Take care, boys.
Take care, mate. See you later. Ta-ra, mate.
Chris, we'll take one or two more questions.
Yeah, let's do it, mate. Let's do it. This is an interesting one from JC. I don't think it'll happen in January, but not just Bruno does, but do you have a feeling, because I do, that in the summer, someone is going to go? Could be Bruno, but I think somebody is going to go in the summer, someone big.
Well, you know what? I had this thought, because I remember I was saying to you yesterday, yesterday I was myself and my little boy, and my wife was working, and we had a festival of football. The festival was kind of ruined a bit in between with that game. But I also, as part of the festival of football, playing FIFA and watching games, I also showed them the entertainers, the half an hour show at Kevin Keegan. But this linked me back to when Kevin Keegan on the steps after we sold Andy Cole. I was just thinking to myself, are we going to have one of those moments again where we have to? At the time it was like disaster. What are we doing selling Andy Cole? But it led to us bringing in Les Ferdinand first, and then Alan Shearer. Do we need to have something like that as well? I don't want it to happen, but are we? And we probably do for financial fair play, because that will unlock things. It will allow more money, or allow us to spend more of our own money, let's say. So maybe something like that is on the horizon in the next 2 years.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Yeah, I think it does. The word you used to say it unlocks opportunities. It does. Nobody wants us to lose a big player, and you could argue, Daz, that we could lose a few fringe players who could still bring us in good money. We were talking not so long ago, weren't we, about Palace maybe being interested in Jacob Murphy for, what was it, 25 million? I mean, if we're quite happy to sacrifice a Jacob Murphy. No offense to Jacob Murphy, but if we could sell on a few of our less important first team players, I think we'd all take that. That's not to say I want Jacob Murphy out, but if you're getting a good offer for him, I think you have to listen to it.
And for Jacob Murphy as well, look at, he's got to play for the club he supports. He's got to play for them in the Champions League. He's ticked a lot of boxes there. If he was to go, he hasn't won something with Newcastle, so that'd be the one he'd be wanting to rectify. But it's for the greater good.
Well, I've got two more questions, Daz. First one is from Seb. So, Seb, hope you're well, mate.
Hey, Seb.
Seb says, someone said we shouldn't be watching Villa, but surely they are the weakest team in the top four. Do you believe that?
Villa or Spurs?
Yeah, same.
And Spurs have gone through their injury spell. Villa, maybe not so much. I don't know, and Unai Emery, he's going to strengthen again, and probably in January. He's crafty. It's going to be difficult to pass either of them out. The way things are looking at the moment, we need them to go on a bad run. One of them at least to go on a bad run, and us to pick something up and pick ourselves up. But yeah, It's because it's not going to be. You're not going to be Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City are going to be the ones that drift off. And Man City have had their drifting off already. It's going to be one way is up now for Man City. So yeah,
No,
another 2 step.
Yeah. And the last question, and I quite like this one. It's got a little bit of a Christmas theme. Jersey Mag says, a few festive questions. Which player would you like Santa to bring in the new year? And like the three wise men, what free gifts would you bring to this team for Boxing Day and beyond?
Okay, let's read this again. Which player would you like Santa to bring in the new year?
Or if you're stuck on that, Daz, and then sorry for changing this Jersey Mag, but which position would you like Santa to bring you a new player in? What's the one position?
The one position. I thought it was like the three. I thought there was three gifts. Three wise men.
Yeah, the three. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, you could have those as you.
Yeah, well, it's like we said already. Yeah, then I'm going to go with a goalkeeper, a striker, as my first two, and then either a right winger or a defensive midfielder. So, but someone, I think, you know, if I was going for one, I think I'm going to go for a goalkeeper, because a goalkeeper that we can build on and will be a goalkeeper for, let's say, the next 10 years, something simple like that. A player that is going to be a mainstay in the team, in our 11 for going forward. Again, I'd want a striker, but I want that striker to compete with Isak and move Wilson down to third spot and give some competition. But yeah, I'm going to go with a goalkeeper, I think, now this stage, because even though I love Nick Pope, he's on the older side as well. I want a younger goalkeeper, so I think that is a key position for us, and it's not just thinking in January; it's thinking for the next 5-10 years after that.
Yeah. Well, in terms of what Santa's bringing, Daz, yeah, absolutely. I think we're on the same page there. So hopefully we both get our wish. I would definitely want a new number one. I think it'll make a massive difference. I really do. And like you said, it's not about, for me. We've heard De Gea, we've heard Lloris. It's not about that for me. It's about bringing in a new number one, bedding him in for the remainder of this season, and starting next season as the number one. That's what we need, in my opinion. You know, with a new goalie that, you know, has got many strings to his bow. That's what we need, and someone who, like you say, is going to be our goalie for the next 5-10 years. That's what we need. In terms of the three wise men, three gifts, it's very simple for me, Daz. I want intensity, I want pressing, and I want fitness. That's what I like. If we could have that, if we could have those three things, I think we'd be fine.
Yeah, you know, I agree. And as well as that, on the keeper situation, you said about that keeper being number one. That's not writing off Nick Pope. Nick Pope can challenge that keeper, and that keeper can't be complacent then. And if that keeper has a bad game, he's out, and Nick Pope is in, or vice versa. You know, someone back like the Given Harper days, there was a good challenge there at one stage as well so just being competitive in every position on the pitch. And Lincoln, what we were saying earlier, not having our favorites and not having to play the same team, the same personnel, game in, game out. And when the games are so close together, you know what this leads to. And I have another question for you, Chris. And what would you do situation? Because I don't blame Eddie Howe in any of this. If I was Eddie Howe, I would have done the exact same thing. We were faced with European competition, domestic competitions, and the Premier League, and he's tried to go out and tackle each of them head on. If you were Eddie Howe, would you have, in hindsight, it's great, but if you started at the beginning of the season, would you have focused on particular competitions and maybe even wrote off some by playing our reserve team, let's say, in some of the other competitions?
Do you know what? It's a really, really good question, that does. I think hindsight is a wonderful thing, but I'll be honest, I've, in the last 24, 48 hours, I have questioned Eddie Howe, but not for that. Like, for me, I think he's approached everything the right way. Yeah, if he had arrested certain players, maybe they wouldn't be as looking like, you know, the what's the word I'm looking for? They wouldn't look as tired and they wouldn't look as fatigued
patched
maybe
up.
if they hadn't. I get that, but nobody could have foreseen the injuries that we've had. Some of the injuries we've had have just been bizarre. We've been really unfortunate with injuries, but no, I don't think I would change the approach. I just wish that maybe. Tell you what I will say is, I think if you could have a crystal ball and he could have seen into the future, I think if he knew he was going to get all these injuries, I think our summer window would have looked a lot different. That's what I would say. I think we would have, like the likes of Tino Livramento, the likes of Lewis Hall, players like that. I think he would have brought in more ready-made players, if that makes sense. So I think he would have brought in some more steady eddies, as we like to call them. That's what I think would have happened. But in terms of how we approach the competitions, no, because we need a trophy. Newcastle fans are desperate for a trophy. So for us to kind of, dismiss the Carabao Cup or dismiss the FA Cup, I think that would have been the wrong thing to do. We gave our all in the Champions League. It didn't work out for us, but we had a fantastic campaign, and I think we give a good account of ourselves as well. So I think now the main focus should be on the league. And I said that even when we were still in the Champions League. I think the main focus should be on the league because we want to be there next season. But I wouldn't just totally dismiss the FA Cup. We've just got to get this January transfer window right. We can't be waiting until the end of the January transfer window and go, we'll grab him on loan. That's not. We need to really fast forward plans and make sure that we bring in those 2, 3, possibly 4 key players that we need.
And we shouldn't be shy about going taking some players from Saudi either. The door is probably going to be closed to us in the next window because they're going to change the rules again. So why not? Look, on that note, Chris, I think we will leave it there. We'll say Happy Christmas to everyone, wherever you might be, whatever part of the world you might be as well. Hope you have a nice time. We'll be back. We were toying with the idea of having away days, but we're going to park it. Pete is on with Ben on Mr. Doors channel for the Notts Forest preview. So join Pete there, catch up on that one. And we'll be back with the reaction show, hopefully not with the red mist, for the Notts Forest reaction show. I think we're going to go with the day after Boxing Day, Stephen's Day in Ireland. So yes, join us for that. But Chris, have a great Christmas.
You too, mate. You too. You and the family. Yeah, it's gonna be a lovely time off. And obviously, as Daz has already said, I hope everyone else at home has a fantastic Christmas. And let's hope that Santa's got 3 points in his sack for Boxing Day.
Exactly. Right. One last time. How'd you like that? Good morning, everyone.
How you like